Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Expert Conversations with me, Emmy, here in Self Publishing Made Simple. And our conversation today, I'm really excited to talk about this because with me being a mom myself, I'm certainly interested with what our special guest has to say about things parenting and how we can stop yelling at our kids because yeah, they deserve love and not being shouted at all the time. But I know it can be tricky. So we'll hear a thing or two from our guest expert today. But before we get into that, let me just give you a bit of background about her. Our guest today is the founder of Pumped Up Parenting and co-founder of FunFit Family Fitness. She has real life parenting experience of almost 40 years, and she has lived mostly every experience that a parent can go through and have found successful solutions that make up a lot of her advice and coaching. She's the number one best-selling author of Raising Happy Toddlers, and she is on a mission to stop a million parents from yelling at their kids. So I'm really excited about this. Without further ado, let's all welcome Celia Kibler. Hi, Celia.
Hi, Emee. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm really delighted to have this conversation because I know that okay, we are in the self-publishing made simple community, but there are a lot of parents in our community, and they say that one of the reasons why they haven't started writing their book is because they are struggling to balance family life and to balance their work and all these things, and to have children at their background and they have to start yelling at them, they just couldn't handle. So it would be great to have this conversation and give them a bit of tips on how they can manage their family life better, because I know that you are a family empowerment coach. That is that correct, Celia?
Yes, so I call myself a family empowerment coach because it really does take a family. Like if I just said parenting coach, then it would just mean parenting, but the whole family has to work together in order to have success. The whole family needs to have a vision and goals that they are all on the same page for in order for the family to have success. And so that's why I really call myself a family empowerment coach. So by empowering you parents, you turn around and empower your kids. It all works together, you know, in unity.
Yes, I,
So
I I love that. And you have this ethos of helping parents to build parenting skills. So it's not just well, it's not really about changing the behavior of the kids, but it's actually building the skills of the parents and interacting well with the children.
exactly. It's a lot understanding your children. You know, I feel like a lot of parents, they expect their children to react like adults, and they don't understand why a 3-year-old doesn't understand what they're telling them, because that 3-year-old is 3. It has a very underdeveloped brain. It doesn't have the logic and all the self-regulation that we have. It is not only not reasonable to ask them to respond like an adult, it is impossible for them to respond like an adult. So part of my book and my coaching to my clients is getting them to understand their child and why their child behaves the way they do.
Awesome. Well, I have to say, Sila, because I am a psychologist, I do know about the theories, I do know about the concepts, but what I find fascinating with you is because you have that real life experience. You have 40 years of experience. I mean, for me, my little one is only 5 years old, so I still have a long way to go. And even as a psychologist, I still find myself trying to apply what I know from theory and struggling to actually adapt in practice. So, do you have any particular strategies that you could share with us, like techniques that you have in your toolkit that you could share immediately with us in our community?
Well, of course, you know, a lot of people will ask me, well, how do I solve this? Like in a comment on Facebook. And I'll be like, well, I can't answer this. And like, if one tip would work, it would be beautiful. But as far as overall tips, I really encourage you to first off, Notice the positive behaviors your children do. They do a lot of good. Very often we're busy, especially people that are working at home or they're trying to write a book. Um, they the child will be great for 2 hours and you'll be going along your business and not even think anything of it. And then maybe your two kids start fighting, and that's when you go and you hear from them. And they've been great for 2 hours and you've said nothing. And more importantly, start reacting to when they're great and
Mm.
start letting them know that you notice. Don't just go, oh, they really were great for 2 hours. Your husband comes home or your partner comes home, wherever comes home, and you're like, man, the kids were great today. And you never even told them. Tell them that they've been great, that you've really appreciated their behavior and their kindness to each other, and them, working things together and sharing and being cooperative, because the more you actually let them know that you recognize the good they're doing, children ultimately want to please their parents. I know it
Mm.
doesn't seem like that, but really, they really do. And when they know that their behavior is pleasing you, they're going to do more of what pleases you and less of what displeases you.
Yeah, that's actually hardwired in humans, really. It's not
Mhm.
really just children that we have this need and desire to actually please our parents. And when, as you've said, when you notice the positive behavior, the good behavior, it will reinforce that behavior, and you're actually letting your kids know what they're doing right, and you can replicate that. Unless you tell them, they actually wouldn't know, so you have to let them know. I love that. So start with the positive, notice the positive, and let them know that this is good, this is what we like.
Exactly. You want to set up a positive environment. Emmy, as a psychiatrist, that, when what you focus on is what drives you. So if you're always focusing on the negative is what will drive them. It's been proven in a study that parents say no to their children over 400 times a day.
Oh,
They
wow.
say yes about 35 times a day. I'm all about switching those numbers around. Let's start
Mm.
saying yes and being more positive for the majority of the day, so that the times we have to be negative are smaller, not the other way around. And it will make
Yeah.
such a difference in the atmosphere of your home and the behavior of your children.
It's almost like, instead of, parents saying, don't do this or do not do that, you actually tell them what to do. If
Right.
and from our previous conversation, I remember this is something that I started applying myself. It's about giving the child a choice, or at least the illusion of choice.
Right.
So sometimes my son wouldn't want to wear his shoes for some reason. He just doesn't want to wear his shoes. So I would say, which shoe do you want to wear, this one or this one? But ultimately, it will get him to wear his shoes. But for him, he feels as if, I've made a choice and I choose to wear that shoe. I mean, I've been applying that, and it's just
And
absolute
it
awesome.
works.
It works. It works.
Good.
It
I'm glad,
absolutely
Emmy,
works.
because, you have to realize a child, for the majority of their life, is told what to do, when to do, how to do it. That, they're like totally controlled by other people. And you can imagine if you were like a caged animal and you were always controlled by someone else, you would rebel. You would speak up. You would speak your mind. You would, make it known that you're not happy. But when you do these little things like giving them choices, like, would you like to wear your brown shoes or your white shoes? Would you like your red pants or your green pants? Would you like to use the blue toothpaste or the pink toothpaste? When you give them choices, you're giving them back a little control, so that when there's times that are not negotiable, they're much more cooperative. The only thing I'll warn you about, just like your shoe example, Emmy, is, had you said to him, do you want to put your shoes on or not? And he would have
Mm.
said
No.
not. That would have been defeating to him, because no is not an option. So don't give them a choice where no is not an option, because when they choose no, then what are you going to
That's
do?
it.
Then you're like, well, you got to put your shoes on. And a fight will start, and your children will begin to feel like, why'd you even ask me? My
Mm.
opinion means nothing. So it actually turns it around to a destructive behavior instead of a constructive behavior.
Right. Yes. This is what I love about you, your book, and every time we have these conversations, your strategies, the things that you teach are so practical. And because it is based on real life problems and real life solutions that can be used in our day-to-day lives, it's so easy, and it is so you can see the results almost immediately. I know that some strategies might take a bit of practice, a bit of repetition, and getting used to from the parent's perspective, because it's essentially skills building. You're trying to unlearn things that you might have picked up from how things were done in the past, and you're trying to adopt new skills and new behaviors as a parent. But I have to say, the techniques and strategies that you teach are so practical, and I've seen the reviews from your book, Celia, and people, everyone says the same thing. It's like, oh, I should have read this before. It's so practical, it's so useful, and it's absolutely wonderful that you've written this book.
And that's my, I will say that's kind of my gift in coaching, is that I do give you easy to understand, doable, practical, success driven tools and techniques. Because you can read a book and it tells you to change your mindset and all of that, but it's not going to give you results. Changing someone's mindset takes a while. It's a lot quicker to change someone's mindset when they start seeing results and they
Mm.
start seeing things happen. Someone had just gone through my Peaceful Parenting Challenge, and the review of it was, every time I watched your video, I did what you said. And she said, it was like magic. I did what you said, and my toddler listened. you
Like,
know,
how did
and,
that happen? It's like,
and
wow.
when that happens more and more often, how can your mindset not change? How
Mm.
can your feeling, your confidence as a parent not change? How can you not stop feeling like a failure? It's impossible. You're going to feel great because stuff is working. Your child is happier. You're cooperating. You're actually, working it out so that their independence is being celebrated and being enhanced by what you're doing with them. And that's how I wrote this book. I specifically wrote this book like a manual, so you could, everybody goes, where's the manual that comes with my children? How come my children don't have a
Like a
manual? Well, now
parenting
you do,
manual.
because the beginning of the book is basically getting your family kind of harmonized and on the same page, creating that unity. And then the rest of the chapters, you can look up an issue and there it is, potty training. My child's
Here's
not
the
telling the
solution.
truth. There's the solution. This is what's going on. This is the solution. How do I talk to my child about tough, hard topics? And I know you mentioned the comments and the reviews on Amazon, and a lot of them said they even utilize it for their teenagers and stuff. So you have to realize that these are tools that work for all humans. They work in the
That's
workplace.
true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
granted, hopefully your teenager is potty trained, so you don't have to refer to that chapter. But the majority of the chapters in this book, how to unify your family, how to create a calm, cooperative environment, how to lessen the stress level of your house, it's
Yeah, you
pertinent
can
to
even use
everybody.
it to train husbands and
Right. Actually, you probably can. And what's funny is that I have a couple people that are in my Pumped Up Parenting group that actually don't have um, kids, they have pets, they have dogs, and they've specifically messaged me to say, your techniques work so well on my dog, because They're
you
practical
have,
techniques.
yeah, in psych terms, we actually call them like behavior modification strategies. And
Exactly.
you can have it that, for pets, and in this case you are specifically targeting parents of toddlers, young children, but essentially they are for behavior modification. And however you want to use these strategies, whether it's your pet or teenagers, co-workers, stubborn
Right.
family
Husbands.
members, you can do that. But Celia, here's the thing: you've been coaching for decades, and you have all these programs, and you have all these courses. And what made you decide to write a book if you already have all these existing programs already?
Well, um, number one, a lot of people ask me to write a book, and I have been going live for many years on various social networks, um, and it just seemed really that whole manual thing where people
Hmm.
just, you
Give me
hear it
something.
all the time, all the time. Why don't my kids come with a manual? And I'm like, because of the way I am, the way I coach, it's the reason why a lot of my clients, they stay for 90 days and their life is good because I get results quickly. I'm
Mm.
like, I'm writing this manual. And I just decided to write it. And for those writers out there that have children at home, my advice is don't overwhelm yourself. Set your timer 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day,
Mm.
and then that's it. Write
Mm.
something, then stop, then go on. That's how I wrote this book. I did little segments a day, and before you know it, the book is
Done.
done. And while you're setting a timer, take some time out of your busy day and spend 10 to 15 minutes with your child one on one. That's all they
Mm.
need, and they won't be bugging you for your attention. If you give them little bit of a one-on-one attention, they can go off and play on their own.
Right.
A little
Yeah.
magic
We
trick.
we hear this a lot, in terms of blocking time and allocating specific time. So if you feel as, yeah, for the viewers right now who feel like I don't have enough time, I'm so busy, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and all you need to do, as what Celia has done and what I have done, when I wrote my books, I was looking after a I was it was a newborn, really. My son was newborn. I had a full-time job, and I'm trying to set up a new business. All I had to do was wake up in the morning, 6 in the morning, block that quiet time in the morning to write my book. And once my son wakes up, we're done. That's it for my book, and I get on with the rest of my day. So it's a matter of finding that time, block that time, protect that time, little by little, every day. Doesn't matter if it will take you 3 months, 6 months, but just a little bit every day does the trick. And
Right.
that's how you did it, right, Celia?
And exactly. And be consistent. Consistency is one of my advices in parenting. If you're not consistent, it's going to fail, whatever it is. You got to be consistent. And with writing, because we come in and we're like, we're going to write a book, and the concept is so overwhelming. It's like, when you walk into this room that's like piled with stuff, and you walk in and you're like, I don't even know where to start, and you turn around and walk out. But if you took that room like you take writing a book, and you walk in and you say, you know what, see this corner, I'm going to set my alarm for 10 minutes, and I'm going to work on that corner. You could even set it for 2 minutes and go do something in there for 2 minutes and solve a little shelf. And then that's one shelf. And then do it bit by bit, the same with tasks of writing your book. Stuff that overwhelms you, break it apart, and little bits grow into big bits. And before you know it, it's done.
Yeah, little bit, have that consistency. And I suppose the consistency bit, some people will do that, but the accountability, sometimes they fall off the wagon, if you like. They'll start this off day one, try again day two, and then day three, they give up. I have to say, when you have that accountability and support just to check on you to keep you going, I think that helps as well.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of having a coach, someone like you, someone like me, is that we keep you on target. We let you know that, well, if whatever you had planned, potty training, because that's an easy one, if it didn't work out one day and your child had an accident, just don't go, oh, this isn't working, I have to try something else. No,
Try
sometimes it
again.
doesn't work out. Welcome to
Mm.
life. When things don't always go your way. It's like I tell parents, start exercising your child's disappointment muscle.
Mm.
Because if you make them think that things will always go your way, you are setting them up for disaster. Because my byline in Pumped Up Parenting is, because we're raising adults, not children. Keep focused on the prize. The prize is that confident, that contributing, that self assured and self-reliant adult that's happy and having fun. I raised 5 of them. Was it always easy? No. Were there bumps in the road? Absolutely. But the skills you give them now, like you say, your child's only 5, Emmy, what you plant in him now, he will take with him every day for the rest of his life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, Celia, one of the things that I'm showing my child right now is it's actually okay to fail or to make mistakes. Sometimes what I've noticed in school is that they only focus on getting things right. And that's why some children, they are afraid to answer because they are afraid that they will make a mistake. Me and my husband, we always say, don't be, just make a mistake. It's okay. Make a mistake. Let us know what you think. Make a mistake. And
Right.
he's open to making a mistake because sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. And it's okay. As long as in the process you learn and you're having fun.
Right. I tell my parents, have fun making mistakes. A lot of great things we have today were mistakes.
Mm,
Play-Doh was a mistake. Post-it notes was a mistake. Chocolate chip cookies was a mistake. It was
delicious
the
mistake.
original chocolate chip cookie was a mistake. It was supposed to be a blended chocolate cookie, and it came out with chips. And thus, today we enjoy chocolate chip cookies. So a lot of benefits come from mistakes. Plus, it creates resiliency in kids. You focus on the effort put in, not the result. Because if
Yeah.
they do their best, one of the great qualities you can instill in your kids to always do their best, that will take them through life wonderfully.
Mm, mm.
You
And I
make a
have to
mistake, you
say,
find a new path.
yeah, I have to say, if I'm going to tie this in with some of the blocks of aspiring authors, that they stop themselves from writing their book is because they are afraid that they're gonna make a mistake, or they are afraid that people are going to judge them, and that yeah, that their book is going to flop. Unless you actually write that book, you'll never know if it's going to be a success or a failure. You have to make the mistake before you know that it's a mistake, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and if they're judging you, it's their problem, guys. Another big advice I tell parents is, don't take it personally. Don't take what your child is doing personally. It's not about you.
Mm,
And especially a toddler, they don't really have a clue with a lot of this. So they're just lashing out on emotion. But when you see someone else judging you, it is about them. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. And so if you don't just write and write, one a good advice I got when I was writing my book too is just write. Don't
mm,
try to edit it. That was really hard for me because I wanted to go
mm.
back and I
I
messed this
cannot
line
let
up.
it go. Fix it.
And
Yeah.
I would just keep hearing this voice in my head, just write, just write, just write. Don't go back, just write. And but if you just don't worry about what you're writing, this beautiful book will be the end of it. And you'll think of new things, and as you're writing, that'll make you think of anything. Like, I do recommend you have a little notepad as you go
Mm,
through your day when you
yeah.
stop the writing, because if Yeah, if your brain's anything like mine, it's constantly like
Firing
things
all
are
the
popping in
time.
it, and I'll write it down or I'll put it in my
Yeah.
phone because I will definitely forget it if I don't. So, just jot it down if you think of something. Don't be like, oh, I can't write that right now. Just jot
Mm.
it down. That's
Record
what you
it. Yeah.
right. Record it. Yes. Oh my gosh. The genius of recording. Guys, I'm old and let me tell you, I write music for my fun fit classes, which is my kids fitness program. And I sat there one day, I wrote a marching song, which of course I realized afterwards was written by the wonderful man that wrote Jingle Bells. I had thought I wrote this great composition and it was Jingle Bells. But I sang that song 20 minutes down the Washington Beltway so I wouldn't forget it. Why? No recording of device, no cell phones. So take advantage of the technology that's there
We
today.
have the, yeah, you can record it. And I have to say again, I have aspiring authors who would say, I have all these ideas and stuff. Yeah, for me, when I write my books, I do have a notebook close to me wherever I go. So whenever I get these ideas, I write them down. Or for those of you who are, they call themselves, they are not natural writers. For some reason they say we are not natural writers. You can still speak your knowledge. You can still
Right?
get the information out, record it, and then have it transcribed later on, if that's the way to get that information out of your head.
Exactly. Have somebody else write it from your recordings.
Yeah, absolutely. But Celia, here's the thing. So you've written your book, you've had it edited, you actually published it before we met. What happened, between you publishing it and then us working together? What was going on there? Like, what happened?
So I did publish my book and because I was so anxious to publish it because I had written it and I'm eternally grateful to have met you, Emee, and to have worked with you because we actually even changed the title of the book.
Yeah.
And as much as I love that title, it after really thinking about it, it kind of went against my beliefs. And we wound up changing taming the toddler to raising happy toddlers. And it's so much because I'm so positive and happy and happy, yay, let's be happy. And so now it's gone with that. I used your launch sequence, whereas before I did nothing. I put it on Amazon, it went into two categories, and four people bought it. And then I met you and we decided to take that version down, recreate the cover, which is very similar. I mean, when you actually go on Amazon, you'll see the older book, but it will tell you go
Go
to the new
there.
version.
Yeah.
Um, but it just, and then we went through the launch process, which of course you're an expert at, and I am not. And I highly recommend you find experts when you need it. If you're not good at something, there's someone out there that's great at it. And finding Emee, you were like a golden gift to me. And then so we wound up taking it down, finding a launch date and setting it up so that we could relaunch the book properly and not the way I had done it, like probably lots of people do it. They just throw a book up.
Mm. I have to say, Celia, when we were doing the keyword research, I can see you just lighting up, because you know your niche inside out. And when we were doing the keyword research, we were getting the high traffic keywords. And when we found the raising happy toddlers, I saw you just really light up because
Yeah,
it's aligned to how you work, and the principles that you teach, and that bit around building great parenting skills, and this thing around stop yelling at your kids. You're on a mission,
right,
to help a million parents to stop yelling at their kids and to incorporate that in your subtitle. I think it's more aligned to your values, and to your core principles. And it's just wonderful to see that rebranding of your book. It's the same content, but just tweaking it a little
right.
bit can do wonders to how it goes out in the market.
Absolutely. And um, I, I think I added a chapter to the new version. I can't remember if that chapter is in the old version or not, but um, that was the hard thing for me was, you know, and at some point in time, Emmy, I think you had told me to stop reading it. Because that was the hard thing because I kept reading it and reading it. I'm like, oh, it's missing this. No, oh, wait, I forgot to do the like. I mean, I could still be doing it if I hadn't just decided this is the
Let
book.
it go.
Just we can make another version.
And
That was
well,
the hard
actually,
part
you
for
can
me.
have another book. I again, I see this all the time with my students. You know, we're just about to start the Get It Done challenge, and my June 2020 cohort, we are working on the book for 12 weeks. We met each other. You've already written your book. That's fine, but you still want to keep adding on it. But the Get It Done challenge students, they only have 4 weeks to write the book, and some of them they would say, I have to write more, I have to write more, I need more time, I have to write more. And what I would tell them is, write, get on with your writing, stop at some point, give it to an editor, give it to your advanced readers. If you want to write more a little bit later on, you can, but give it to someone else to read. And the feedback that they get, they would say, it's fine, it's ready to go. So it's, having that other person
Right.
to actually read through your stuff and validate you that it's cool, it's fine, just let it go.
Exactly.
It does help instead of just
And
holding
stop second guessing yourself.
that's right. And if you do have more ideas that you want to add to your book, you can actually write another book.
Right.
You can have as a book series which could work in your favor. So you publish one book, you have more ideas, publish another one and another one and another one, and build your portfolio and move on from there. But I have to say, Celia, it's been such a pleasure working with you in your book. I know that you will reach your goal of helping a million parents to stop yelling at your kids, because I mean, now that your book is out on Amazon, you get like thousands of eyeballs on your brand, and now people will discover your book. They can sign up to your mailing list. They'll know about your brand, and you can just keep growing and building from there. And I can see that you have lots of reviews on your book now. I think in the past you only had two or three
Yeah,
reviews.
no, I think there's like 18 or 19 or yeah,
Yeah.
there's some really wonderful reviews. I know there's a review from a speech language pathologist that's really so complimentary. And, I'm just really grateful that I can help all these parents, achieve happy childhoods for all of them, for everyone in the family. Parents can have a happy childhood too.
Yeah, just enjoy the family life. Yeah, that's why you're called a family empowerment coach. So, Celia, if you have any advice to the parents out there who are watching this, maybe they are struggling to find the time or the confidence to actually write their books, get it out, whether they have limiting beliefs or whether they have time management issues or whatever it may be, what advice do you have to say to them?
So my advice is believe in yourself, know that you can do it. If you think, oh, I'm not good enough, if you have knowledge on a subject and you're standing next to a person that knows nothing about that subject, you are an expert to that person. So whatever you have that you're going to write this book on makes you an expert. So write it and don't second guess yourself. Some of the results of being yelled at as a child is that you always second guess yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You don't think anything you do is right. So if you have those limiting beliefs, throw them out the window because they're just not true. You have everything you need inside. I always say that children blossom from routines and schedules. Grown-ups do too. So get the routine, do what we suggest, give yourself 5 or 10 minutes of writing, block it out, whenever is a good time in your schedule, and just make it part of that schedule. So you always work on it little by little. And before you know it, you'll be a #1 best-selling author.
Way! Okay, and yes, same as you, Celia. This is exactly what you've done. You actually do follow your own advice, and yeah, it got you to number one bestseller. So to those of you who are watching this, I hope that you found this conversation useful. I know that writing a book can be a mammoth task, but as Celia has said, first of all, you have to believe in yourself. You need to embrace your expertise, embrace the value that you can bring to your audience. But if you're struggling to find time, or if you're struggling to find that structure and accountability, the Get It Done Challenge, here's a little plug. The Get It Done Challenge is actually starting in January 2021. So if you need that structure, that step by step process to take one step at a time, and to block that protected time as well to help you to get writing and publish your book and launch it to number one bestseller. This is the opportunity for you to be in a community, to get that support, to get that accountability, to get into that routine, because we will have weekly coaching calls as well. So you don't want to be the only one who's actually not adding in new things in your book. So to have that support, accountability, and structure and strategy as well. Here's the thing, with Celia, if you're thinking of writing the book and then publishing it and then crossing your fingers, hoping that people will find it, you're in for a surprise that people might not find your book if you have a
Right.
strategy like that. But if you come with us and work with us in the Get It Done Challenge, we'll provide you that launch sequence as well, so you'll know exactly what you need to do to publish your book, follow the launch sequence, and get it to number one bestseller. Because if you're gonna write a book, you want to reach your audience, right? And you want it to be out there and people to read and use your book. So come and join us. It starts in on the 13th of January 2021, and all you have to do is go to tinyurl.com/I will get it done. So Celia, thank you very much for joining us. If people want to find you, and to see what's Pumped Up Parenting all about, where can they find you and how can they connect with you?
You can go to pumpedupparenting.com, or you can join our public Facebook group, Pumped Up Parenting. You can find Raising Happy Toddlers on Amazon, and you can reach out to me, Celia at celiakibler.com, and at all other social network places, I'm there. So I'd love to hear from you. And if you need some help, you need a coach, you need accountability, reach out and let's just talk about it.
Awesome. Well, I'll leave all the links in the description, so feel free to reach out if you are a parent who needs a little bit of family empowerment. You know who to contact. So thank you again, Celia. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll catch up again next time for another expert conversation with me, Emmy, here in Self Publishing Made Simple. Until then, take care and bye for now. Bye.